What's up, everyone? This is the Next Tape podcast with Mikel and
Tanyka.
where we have conversations on different topics. So, we got something today for the people, for everybody. What is it, Tanyka?
So we're doing a bonus episode, and we're going to be talking about actually four different topics today, just because each topic is pretty short. So we're going to be doing 4 topics, and that's basically we're going to be talking about a Toronto cop that's been temporarily demoted, and we are going to be talking about possible safety issues with the upcoming Bowmanville station here in Goodall, Ontario. We have a mom who went to jail for not properly treating her daughter's cancer. And we have a GP shortage that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
All right.
Let's get on with the episode.
The first topic, the cop who's been demoted. So a Toronto area police officer has been temporarily demoted after firing an energy weapon at a patient while their back was turned at a Brampton hospital. So that, I'm assuming, is the patient had their back turned. Constable Caroline Desmoulins, I believe is how you say her name, of Peel Regional Police, will serve 10 months as the reduced rank of second-class constable, down from first-class constable, after pleading guilty to 1 count of unlawful or unnecessary exercise of authority to the service's disciplinary tribunal at a January hearing. So the incident took place in December 2022 at the Brampton Civic Hospital, according to an agreed statement of facts included in the tribunal decision. While at the hospital in relation to a Mental Health Act detention, the constable heard another detained patient, quote, screaming and banging on the walls, according to the document. She was advised by security guards that the other patient, identified in the proceedings only as AA, so we don't know the name, was 6'4", was clearly a male, 320 pounds, and had caused problems earlier in the day. This is what is read in the document. While AA was later being escorted through the halls of the hospital to the washroom, he began to walk towards this constable. The patient was then restrained by 2 security guards who turned him around and began to walk the other way. While AA's back was turned, the constable fired her taser and struck AA, I guess, in the back. And this is what was said in the tribunal. AA fell over and landed on his chest. According to the decision, the constable then ordered AA, still restrained by security guards, to place his hands behind his back. He did not immediately comply because he had just been tased, and she deployed her CEW a second time, so I guess that's the taser. Lawyers for the constable argued that the incident was, quote, not driven by malice or bad faith, but rather by fear and misjudgment. I'm just going to say this right now. When you are someone of this profession, yes, we're human and there's going to be human error, but this misjudgment should not be happening, especially when dealing with mental health patients.
Right.
Because you're going to get all kinds of different situations. If you cannot handle it, then you shouldn't be there. Anyway, let's continue. The presiding hearing officer, Tawfiq Salbia, wrote that, quote, although the initial information that was relayed to Desmoulins regarding AA would reasonably place her in a heightened state of awareness. She's trained to continuously reassess the situation and react accordingly to any escalation, or conversely, any de-escalation in his behavior. Yeah, but I feel like when you're dealing with mental health patients again, I just feel like, yes, be on guard, because you never know what's going to happen, but to deploy your taser and then tell them to put their hands behind their back, like, come on.
Yeah.
It is clear that she did not do this. This is what Salvia continued about the escalation or de-escalation. In giving her statement to investigators, the constable acknowledged that she made a mistake in judging the situation to be an assaultive one. She cooperated with the internal investigation, displayed genuine remorse, and pled guilty in the process, which I guess is good in itself, I guess. In turn, Salvia wrote she felt confidence that Desmulas can move on from this incident and continue to develop and serve the community. We'll see. On November 17th, 2024, Desmulas will be reinstated to her prior rank. So, just in a few months. When reached for comment, Peel Regional Police said it, quote, holds its members to a high standard of professionalism and is committed to taking the appropriate actions as prescribed by the Police Services Act to address instances of officer misconduct. That's what they say.
Interesting.
Agreed. I mean, again, I think like when dealing with mental health patients, as I've mentioned, we've seen it many times before. Police make the wrong choices or decisions when dealing with mental health patients.
Yeah, they do. They make the wrong decisions.
So next topic, we're talking about Bowmanville station, and kind of some of the safety issues that they're kind of thinking it's probably an issue. So all safety rules and guidelines have been adhered to in the design of the proposed track extension of GO Train to Bowmanville, according to Metrolinx, operator of GO Transit, if you don't know. They say, quote, it is important to note that the statements made are not accurate. Safety is our highest priority, and project designs are always meticulously reviewed by internal and external experts throughout the project's life cycle. An engineer had raised concerns that the proposed extension has tight railway curves with steep grades leaving or approaching Oshawa Station to and from the east. So this is why Metrolinx is responding. They say, quote, there are concerns that a westbound GO train approaching the existing Oshawa Station may derail, ending up on the CNR mainline tracks in front of an approaching freight train. That's problematic if true. The safety concerns raised are not accurate. This is the thing said by somebody. The preliminary design for the Bowmanville extension rail alignment has been developed and approved by professional engineers and will meet all operational safety standards. The Bowmanville extension adheres to the appropriate GO standards, Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern standards, American Railway Engineering, and Maintenance of Way Association recommendations, among other applicable design standards and guidelines, and meets rigorous safety requirements, again, set by Metrolinx. So, I mean, I guess we're not going to really know if it really is being adhered to until the extension hasn't opened up. Not sure when that's happening. But yeah, because we'll see.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so it's pointed out that before construction begins, all designs are approved, signed, and sealed by professional engineers licensed to practice in Ontario. So we'll see, I guess. Like I said, how this will turn out.
All right. Yeah.
I won't see.
We'll see.
Because I don't go as far as Oshawa. But, yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully we don't see what happens, but I guess we'll see what happens. Because that could be very problematic if that were to happen. So next, we're going to be talking about a mother who is being charged for not treating her daughter's cancer. And
okay.
Yeah, I don't understand people. We're going to get to it. So this is happening in Oregon. So we make that known. So at the start of a proceeding, an Oregon mother by the name of Christina Dixon stood in court, calm and composed, but as it went on, she became very emotional. The district attorney asked the judge for 19 months in jail, but instead she was sentenced to 90 days in jail and supervised probation. And again, we're not going to go into the history as of why this even happened, but we're just going to do this from the top. So the reason that Kylie, who is the daughter, is alive today is because she got the chemotherapy, because she got surgery, because she got tumors removed. So if we can catch where we're going here, her mother was not doing those things prior to this being made knowledgeable to people.
Right.
So, yeah, she was sentenced to 90 days in custody, and she's also given probation. So the mother, she's 39 years old. She is received in Kalamazoo County Court, and it was like maybe about a couple months ago. So in 2019, her then 13-year-old daughter, Kylie, was being treated for liver cancer. Later that year, Dixon was indicted for failing to take Kylie in for a scheduled surgery. Yeah. They say, quote, after the third round of chemotherapy, she said no. This was said by Deputy DA Brian Powell. She said no, despite 23 physicians at St. Jude agreeing on diagnose it. But she said no. She didn't want her child going through chemotherapy anymore.
Right.
And, yeah, she said no.
Okay.
Doctors said they wanted to continue chemotherapy, but of course, again, she said no. Instead, Dixon took Kylie to Las Vegas to avoid a court order and claimed Kylie did better using CBD oil. She was giving her 13-year-old daughter CBD oil and thought that was curing her cancer. That is incorrect.
So what is CBD oil? What's the...
You don't know what CBD oil is?
No, I have no, I don't.
It's basically like THC. It's like the component in weed that makes you high.
I see.
There's many different forms of it now. Pretty sure that's what CBD oil is. But yeah, it's many different forms now. Obviously gummies, whatever, but oil in this case. It's going to relieve her pain, but it's not a cure. Kylie was taken into protective custody and Christina then went to jail. Nearly 5 years later in court, Dixon, the mother, was emotional as she awaited sentencing. She said, quote, "I never wanted to stop her treatment. Yes, you did." She said it was just with the particular doctor. I would have never put Kylie in harm's way. I did everything to fight for her life, and I put my own life on the line for her. But you didn't do everything to protect her life. You did the exact opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. She did.
Kylie's father was also in the courtroom. He said he doesn't believe justice was served. I 1000% agree with him. 90 days is not enough. He said, quote, "I'm glad there's closure finally." And her father's name is Jim Dixon. He says, "I was a little sad to see how easy she got off and all of this, considering all the damage she's done." A judge later ordered that Kylie would have surgery to treat her cancer, so at least there's that. The truth is that Kylie had a tumor that CBD wasn't doing a thing to help. Very, very fair. The only thing that was helping was the treatment that she was getting, and she had the surgery, and she's cancer-free now because of it. And this was said by her father. Kylie, as you just mentioned, is now cancer-free, and she's going to be 18 years old later this year. So this is, 5 years later. Her father says that she's doing well. When we asked, the article asked about her whereabouts, he said he doesn't know. So I guess he's not really in contact with her, or maybe he just chooses to not say anything just to protect her privacy. But I'm happy that she's okay. But again, I will never understand parents. I hope I never have to understand. Because I can't imagine hearing your child has cancer. I think it's one of the most evilest things when children get cancer.
Yeah, it's one of the toughest things to hear from a parent perspective. So,
yeah. And I totally get that. But at the same time, I'm not saying I'm an advocate for chemotherapy, because I'm not, but if it's the best thing to preserve one's life, then do the chemotherapy, because you don't know what damage it could cause having it sit in her brain for God knows how long.
Yeah.
Right? And something like a tumor could come back. But who knows if it was dealt with right away, what that would have meant for her life going forward. Well, we won't know, but again, she could have just made things way worse by not just getting her treated properly.
Yeah, I agree.
And CBD oil is not a cure for anything. But anyways.
Yeah. Well, there's been news that they're working on a cure for cancer.
Well, they've been always working on a cure for cancer. It's not.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think it's going in the right direction now when it was here. Yeah.
But again, there's so many different types of cancer that not one thing fixes everything. So what could fix one type of cancer might not fix another. Right.
True.
Some cancer is terminal currently.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
Yeah, like if you have what's that one cancer that Alex Trebek had? It's terminal. You're basically just waiting for it to kill you, and it's horrific. I don't know if there will be if the cure that they will have eventually would cure that cancer, because it's terminal. You can prolong your life, but you can't.
Yeah.
You don't get rid of it.
Yeah, it's. I heard it's not easy to see from the scope. So not easy to spot the cancer.
Yeah, I think that's in all cases, any kind of cancer. Which is why, like, if you do have a family history of cancer, definitely talk to your family doctors about doing screening, whether it's breast cancer or anything else, really. I don't know how prostate, I think, obviously for men, definitely make sure you're hit a certain age, you're doing that too. And, yeah. Get cancer. Cancer on the butt.
Yep. F cancer.
Absolutely. Next, and the last topics.
Right.
So we're talking about the GP shortage. When I mean GP, I mean general practitioner. That being your family doctor. That's what we're going to be talking about, because we have a huge family doctor shortage currently. It's actually getting really scary.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. There's a shortage for family doctors.
Yeah,
it's been like that for years.
It's been like that for years, but I feel like it's getting worse.
Yeah.
With obviously family doctors retiring, and maybe
you get the new ones
coming in. Yeah, you get the new ones coming in, but again, it's like
they're not as no, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great doctors out there who are new, but you get some
when we
of those
say
doctors,
new again, quote unquote new, because they've still been practicing, but just as the term intern not the right term.
No.
But they've still been doing, like, they've been a medical student, and being a medical student basically means you're in it. So even though, like, they might be new to practice on their own, they've still been doing it for years.
Do you feel like the people who have more experience, well, it's obvious, are more like Oh no, that's the wrong one. Do you feel like the ones who are retired, like obviously the ones who do they have, I don't know how I'm going to ask this question. Are there more no, never mind, forget it. I'm not gonna.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because like I feel like I'm gonna head to the wrong direction with that question. So like, I would say, are there like the old retired doctors more knowledgeable than the new ones that are coming in? I would say.
I mean, again, like, you're asking questions that I can't always answer, but
you can always answer.
If being a doctor is anything similar to being a lawyer, in the sense of you have to continuously keep learning, like, you don't go a year without doing some sort of course relating to what you're doing. I don't know if doctors have to do the same thing. So their knowledge should be the same in that sense, but I think the question you should be asking is where their belief system lies. Bedside manner, all of those things tie into the differences between the maybe more retired doctors now versus maybe the newer doctors. But again, it's a hit or miss. It doesn't matter if the doctor is younger or older or whatever. It has nothing to do with that.
That's what I'm thinking. Older generation versus the newer generation. That's what was in my head.
Yeah.
Other than old retired.
Yeah, but again, the abilities and the knowledge of an older doctor versus a newer doctor, it doesn't matter. Because it depends on the person you're getting. when it comes to a doctor. It has nothing to
Right.
do with their age or their experience or anything like. Because again, like in my situation with me having to have surgery, I first met with a general surgeon who's been doing this for God knows how long, probably 30 plus years. And I felt very comfortable with him. I felt he was very knowledgeable. I trusted him. And then who ultimately did my surgery was a technically younger surgeon in comparison to him. And I still felt good with him. Felt like he knew his stuff. I felt like he knew he was knowledgeable, and you know, I trusted him. And even now, like, I'm not fully out of the woods yet, and I still feel like he's following through on things that needs to be followed through on. And that's what I'm trying to get at. It doesn't matter the age of the doctor or the knowledge of the doctor. It depends on who you're getting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's my question. Sorry if I phrased it wrong or anything like that, guys. So
It's fine.
it was just like, you know, it's just I read stuff about it, like, you know, older generations are like, you know, they study more than the newer generations. So that's why I asked that question. So otherwise, Tanyka, you answered it already. So
yeah, and again, like, I don't have a lot of knowledge with like really young doctors. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've seen a really young doctor recently. Like my family doctor, I've been seeing him since I was a kid, but I saw him take over my previous family doctor's practice. So, you know, but again, I don't have a lot of opinion of that because I was like 8 or 9, maybe 10 when he took over the practice. So, you know, I don't really have much to say. But again, like, I think like something my family doctor would say is maybe not something another family doctor would say. Like, because he is maybe more an advocate for natural thing to an extent. Maybe very different than someone else.
Right.
So I think, again, that's just depends who you get.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right.
Topic.
So, the Ontario College of Family Physicians is asking the province to help improve working conditions for family doctors. The college says around 79,000 people in Durham region don't have a family doctor. And that number could nearly double to 152,000 by 2026. That's only 2 years from now. Like, I just know, like, even like my boyfriend did not have a family doctor for the longest time. He just recently got one, and it's like he's been in the country for over 10 years. Did you
tell him about getting one, or did you just did you just like figure it out?
No, I did tell him. I actually said maybe you could go to mine, but mine wasn't taking new patients, so there's nothing I could do with that. And he kind of figured it out on his own after, but yeah, it took him a long time to get a family doctor. You know, so it warns that many practitioners are headed toward retirement, and it's unclear if those empty spaces will be filled. The number of people graduating from medical school and choosing family medicine as their choice of medical practice has gone down. And this is said by Dr. Carly Jensen, who is a family physician and president of the Uxbridge Health Center. And this was with an interview with Durham Radio News. She continued on by saying the number coming in is not going to replace the number retiring. because I don't know if like maybe some of the medical students coming in are just like family medicine, boring. Like I don't, maybe they want to do
So,
something
yeah,
more exciting,
yeah. That's how yeah. That's why I
Yeah.
was asking that question. If
I think, like
yeah.
family medicine is important, You, we need that. Like, you need that.
Yeah, do you think the newer generation are like more impatient in terms of like what they go into in certain?
Are more impatient.
Yeah.
I don't know because I don't know what their thought process is. I
Mm.
don't know what they would rather do. If they want to go into surgery or if they want to, be an ER doctor, which we need those too. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is hopefully something I don't have to worry about for a while. My family doctor is fairly young in comparison to maybe someone who's retirement age.
Mm.
But I do
So,
worry when the time comes. What do I do?
mhm. So what if like the family doctor either quits or retires? What happens to those files? Do they get transferred to another doctor, or do they get like
Well, no, because if someone's not taking over the practice, then there's no one to give the files to.
Mhm.
What will probably end up happening, and this is probably something they will explain to their patients, is they might have to take possession of their own medical file.
Oh,
That might be the only thing you can do.
interesting. I thought it gets like transferred to the replacee
Right.
or something.
But if we're talking about the fact that there's not enough family doctors coming in
Right.
to replace the ones going out,
Oh, okay.
how can they do that if they don't have a replacement or someone taking over the practice?
What if they do have a replacement?
Then
That's
that goes to that doctor.
okay.
But
That's what I was asking. Yeah.
yes, that will happen. But
Mhm.
we are talking about the shortage here, and we're talking about people who may not have that.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
then
I was just
that's what I'm trying to say is if there's no replacement or no one taking over the practice, then that medical file probably has to go to the patient
mm.
so that they can have their file to take with them to try and find a new family doctor on their own, if possible.
Yeah.
Um, So Dr. Carly, she noted that the amount of paperwork has been skyrocketing, particularly the number of sick notes. The college argues doctors have been spending up to 19 hours per week on administrative work.
Sick notes are also ones that you get to sign in case you get to be either sick for school or sick for work. Sick.
Yeah, like,
Is that
well,
what's
yeah, but you wouldn't have to do that,
so,
at least with work. Anyways, I can't remember what they do with
Yeah.
school. I think school
Usually-
too. You don't need to do that
Yeah,
right
yeah.
away. Like if you're gone for a few days, once you're past a certain point, then you would have to get a sick note.
Mm,
You don't need to have that just because you're gone for a day or something.
true. Oh, yeah.
But I do understand the fact that doctors have to do more administrative work, because even my family doctor, he had a lot more staff. Then once
Mhm.
COVID hit, they were all let go except for one.
The secretary.
Yeah, I think she's a nurse too, but yeah, there's only one person left. He probably had like 4 different nurses, plus secretaries, and they were all let go except for one. The one who's been with him the longest. Oh,
Interesting. Wow.
imagine only so much as she can do, right?
Yeah.
So, did you have something you want to say?
don't know. I just think it's well, I just think it's kind of like, sad that, that people who really need family doctors can't barely get any anymore. So,
I mean, what you can do is go to a walk-in clinic, but again, it's not always ideal.
yeah.
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 I mean, again,
Yeah.
being in the business that I do, where you have to look at clinical notes and records of plaintiffs and stuff, the amount of plaintiffs that are going to walk-in clinics who don't have family doctors or in between family doctors, it's insane. It's actually crazy the amount of people who don't have family doctors.
I agree. It is insane.
So Dr. Jensen continues on by saying, what's frustrating about the fact that they have to do administrative work is, as a family doctor, of course, I want to spend time with the patient because that's where your time should be going to. She's like, spending a lot of my time doing paperwork that if I don't have to do that, I could actually help this healthcare crisis because I could take on more patients. But she's not able to. It has called on the province to eliminate employer-mandated sick notes for short absences.
Yeah,
that's 100% agree. Get rid of it. If you can't trust your employee that they've been sick, then that's a problem with you as the employer.
I feel like a lot of boys gonna get angry on that because you can use that for mental health as well. Like if they're having a
right, but again, if you're taking like a day or two, like you shouldn't need to have a note for that. Like even me, going into surgery, I didn't work fully for a week. The way I would have to have a sick note to say that I was out for a legitimate reason. Like, that's ridiculous. The college is asking the government to find ways to help streamline the systems doctors use to make referrals. They say we haven't properly leveraged technology yet. This is said by Dr. Jensen, who noted that many systems still require patient information to be manually typed in with no shortcuts or suggestions. The fact that doctors have to manually input things in this day and age is ridiculous.
Oh yeah. I would say that in the hospital as well, but like when it comes to that, like files and manually putting in files, it's ridiculous.
Like
technology has come. Yeah,
technology has come a long century.
Yeah,
and even in the first 24 years of the 21st century, have evolved so much. So like I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, there is virtual what's it called? Virtual doctors who do FaceTiming. Have you heard about that?
I mean, my own doctor does virtual appointments.
Yeah,
that's
virtual appointments.
That's the day and age we're in since COVID. You don't have to necessarily go into the office anymore. But this isn't about that. This is about them doing referrals and having to, basically the system that they use, I guess, to do that hasn't evolved. So that has something to do with appointments. It has to do with the fact that just doing the first steps, the referral, hasn't evolved. So yeah,
I know my family doctor has an iPad and he has all the files in there. Maybe.
Well, the same thing. My doctor has now, in the last few years, transitioned from physical. I mean, I think he
files.
still has physical files,
Yeah,
but it's transitioned from that to
yes,
digital.
yeah.
So maybe there's improvements in certain areas, but I don't know when it comes to this referral system.
Yeah.
If that changes from person to person, I don't know. And it's the system, it's the software, I guess I'd say, for this refer.
And they had to get an approval from.
It has not improved.
Yeah, but they had to get an approval from their. Who are the doctors' bosses? I don't know, like the.
What do you mean?
I think they had to get an approval from the minister. I don't
Ministry
remember,
of Health?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, Ministry from.
No, they don't. That is the OHIP, which is what you're talking about. Is OHIP. That's it's for billing purposes. That's how they get paid, and that way we are not being charged. But we're talking about referrals. So, like, if your family doctor needs to refer you to a specialist, it has nothing to do with OHIP. Because then what will happen is that specialist will just bill onto your OHIP the same way your family doctor does.
Right. But
so that's not an approval process.
But don't they have don't these doctors have like a meeting?
I don't know what they do.
That's what I heard.
That's out of my wheelhouse. I don't know.
Okay. They need to get an approval on certain things, like something like having, files entered like digitally, that needs to be approved.
I don't know. I've never heard that. I don't know why they would need to have approval for that. If some doctors are already doing it, then the approval process has already happened. So I don't. If that is the case,
some doctors are.
I don't know.
Okay, I thought you would know.
No, I wouldn't know that.
Okay.
That's not even a thing I would think to look up, because I wouldn't think that they would need to have approval to transfer things to digital format, especially because we're in a world where we should be going paperless. So I've never thought to even look that up.
To do the research on that, because I did heard some things. Like I think I was at like some type of party, and one of my friends is a doctor, and he was talking about they needed an approval for certain things that they have to do, like including that, from files to importing their files to digital. So
yeah, but I think we're going a little off topic though, because we're
and then the referrals,
so but you don't need to get approval to refer your patient to a doctor that is necessary, like me wanting to be referred to an OBGYN. That's my right as a patient. If I want to see my OBGYN, I have the right to do that. I don't need to wait for an approval process to do that. I just have to wait for the appointment to be booked. So that's why I'm a little confused about why this topic is coming up, is because I don't think you need to have an approval process that would take forever. It really takes forever to wait for a referral. That would take longer. And what do I need to be approved on? Especially someone who gets pregnant. What am I supposed to do? Sit around waiting for you to approval to see an OBGYN? By then, you should be getting prenatal care. You got to get on that. It's a quick process. There's no. I definitely what I'm saying is that there's no approval process, I believe, to have referrals being done.
Okay. Well.
However, the main point of this is that the system that they use to do referrals is dated. That is what the whole point of this was. We went off on a tangent. The program is dated. which is causing more time spent on the process of doing a referral for their patient, which means it's less time of them taking care of patients. That's just more administrative work.
You know why it's taking it so long?
What?
Why the referrals is taking? Do you know why? Or
like, you're asking me how do you know why that is?
Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking me questions that I don't have the power to answer. I don't know why that is. It just is. And again, I think it depends on who, like what kind of specialist you're looking for. In my case, when I was trying to get referral to an OB, I'm competing with pregnant women who need to have that specialist way sooner than I do. So that could be one reason. And maybe someone seeing like an ENT, you might get through faster. But it just depends. It depends on who you're getting. Depends on all those things. I just don't have the power to answer that. So let's continue this. So I recognize in healthcare we have to be very careful with privacy, and so that's why I think the implementation has been slow, again said by Dr. Jensen, but it's worse than slow. It's at a glacial pace, and that's what it feels like to her in terms of the issue with the technology referrals and whatnot. The college also asked Queen's Park to boost support for health teams and take steps to ensure compensation keeps pace with inflation. Dr. Jensen described family practice as a beautiful practice, where she said, quote, "We need to rekindle that, and the way you do that is letting us do the medicine we were trained to do and want to do." She says, "You'll also entice more physicians into going into family practice, where they get to witness this beautiful relationship that can exist when you get to know someone over their lifetime." Because that is still there. But that is the last topic.
So this ends the Next Tape podcast. The Next Tape podcast is available now on all podcast platforms. We also have a website called solo.to/Next Tape podcast. Where else are we at, Tanyka?
We're on Facebook and Instagram at Next Take Podcast, and Twitter and TikTok at Next Take Pod.
Okay. We also have an email. You can contact us at mikeltanyka@gmail.com. That is mikeltanyka@gmail.com. So we talk about a bunch of topics, Tanyka. What are those topics again?
We talked about a cop temporarily being demoted, possible safety issues at Bowmanville Station Extension, a mom who went to jail for not treating daughter's cancer, and the family doctor shortage.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting topics. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Yeah, that's all I have to say with this episode. Sorry, I was half asleep this episode. So if my questions bother you, or if my questions was kind of off, that's one of the reasons why. So apologize to you guys for that. Anything else you want to say, Tanyka, before we skedaddle?
No, that's it.
Okay, so I am Mikel, and
I'm Tanyka.
We are out until next week. Peace, guys.
Bye.